Okay, so I think we are all set over here in Mumbai. I hope everybody on Skype is also well settled. We are ready to go now. So first of all, wish you all a very good afternoon. Can I hear it louder? Good afternoon. Okay, thank you. So thanks a lot for joining into this wonderful SparkHour session. This is the second one we are doing in Mumbai. If you remember, we had the first one by Christy. She talked to us about 10 types of innovation. And we had some interesting workshop with her for an hour. And we learned a lot at that point in time. And this is the second one we are hosting. We hope to have many more this year. And we are hoping to line up some very interesting discussions of similar nature. So I welcome you all for this wonderful talk. I'm extremely thankful to Dr. Venkatesh, who's been a good friend of mine for the last few years. Essentially, he's been a very good link through IIT, the Institution of Engineering and Technology, of which I'm a member. And we have done some joint events together. I've heard him multiple times speak about innovation, and honestly, he's an inspiration to hear. We as Black & Veatch, we are a project-based organization. We understand the relevance of why. I mean, a lot of people I see over here are either business excellence certified, some of them are lean champions, and so on and so forth. So we tend to use why in very many different ways, especially for performing root cause analysis, finding out the problem with any specific issues that we are trying to address through these projects. For example, the Ishikawa method, the 5 why questions that we talk about, all of these actually help us perform root cause analysis. The interesting thing that we are going to do today is try to think of ways in which we can use the same question for a very different purpose. And here the purpose is innovation. So please put your hands together for Dr. Venkatesh, and we'll hear him out. Sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Rajesh. Couple of disclaimers. With friends like Rajesh, you must have heard, I don't need enemies. He always does this to me, right? I hope I live up to his expectations and yours too. Second, what I'm going to say is about my personal views. I mean, I just used my company's PPT because I'm so used to the company formats, right? So whatever I say, don't think that it's what TDK does. And what I would do in the next maybe 50 plus minus 5 minutes, take you through what I really believed is an eye-opener for really being creative, innovative, right? I mean, this is my personal life experience of 20 years. I wouldn't say all, most of my patents, how they came into existence. And this can also be used not just for product, though I'm an engineer, so most of the examples would be from the product. But last 3 years, I'm trying to use this even for business strategies and even for marketing, for everything else, number one. This is exactly the same stuff. Most of us, as engineers at least, you would have gone through the Ishikawa, Fishbone, and the 7 why. I say at least use 3 whys, you can have a patent, right? We fail to ask these questions of why. Let's see. This doesn't work. Okay, yeah, this is on. It's on, right? Okay, let's see. Okay, what you see here was a symbol of human innovation for more than a century. That's Edison's light bulb, right? If you want to draw a caricature of an innovative guy, then you draw a human picture and put this on the help. But what's happening is even this is being questioned now. As you would see in the last 20 years, the Edison bulb is no longer really a sign of innovation. And if I've been following GE as a shareholder or as a supplier or a consumer, there's a big protest going on in US right now that the GE should not sell off their lighting business unit, right? I mean, GE is not doing well, they're restructuring. And the current CEO wants to get rid of a lot of businesses, and one such is the lighting solutions. And people or Americans are very possessive. They think that that's the first division Edison ever started. GE started with the lighting division. And I really don't know what will be the future of this, right? I mean, you have seen a various shape of lights, and I have a lot of story on lights. Let's see how do I take it forward. The basic theme, actually it's a 3-minute presentation, I'm like a politician. Give me an audience and a mic, I can go on without making sense. Since he said 55 minutes plus minus 5, I have to build another 30 slides around it. The key question is whatever we do, be it in personal life, professional life, be it a product or a strategy, I keep asking, why am I doing it? See, most of us are given instructions from the top on how to do that, right? At least if you're on the shop floor, the first instruction is how to do that. There'll be a lot of pictures, doing it right and wrong. Sometimes we look at what is to be done? Very rarely we ask ourselves the questions, why are we doing it? What is the primary purpose of existence, right? It's not a philosophical question, right? This is especially very important when the entire economy is changing from what used to be resource-based to totally knowledge-based. That means we need to really redefine the questions. And the key stuff is, most of us, we are confused about the basic business we are in. I had a very nice chat with Rajesh about 3-4 months back on what Black & Veatch does. I really don't know what they do, except he's a good friend of mine. I never knew what BNB as an organization does. But I work with a lot of other companies. Today they are very confused, and companies, I won't say even companies, industries go out of business. Company is one entity in a large industry, right? Industries go out of business basically because they were not able to define the business they were in, right? To satisfy which of the societal needs. This is true. It's not about roti, kapda, makan or Maslow's triangle. The basic needs over the last 5,000 years have remained unchanged. I would feel hungry. I'd feel thirsty, right? It could be Coke, it could be Pepsi, it could be water, it could be something else. So what is Coke doing to me? They are not making cola with some formulation which only 3 people in the family know. They are basically quenching my thirst maybe. Something else is better option, then that's innovative, right? The American railroads, they always thought the railroad business about buying real estate and doing this to steel tracks. They are the business of what? Not running trains or doing tracks, right? Let's look at how does it go. I'll give you some of the, I won't spend time on this because we already started with about 7-8 minutes and I get a little stressed out. But what you see here are reports over the last, I would say, 30 years of, every year there are organizations which publish what's called as a most top 20 innovative products of the decade, of the century, of the year, whatever. This I picked up from the last, I would say, almost 30 years. You have right from the computers to the first telephone. That's paper, maybe 5,000 years old, but it changed the way people live, right? I mean, unless you are very happy reading a Sumerian tablet, right? You have the printing press, that's a refrigerator, the World Wide Web. Guess what is this? It's a bad photograph anyway. That's a nail. I don't know who invented the nail. It was found in the Egyptian pyramids. It still remained a nail for, I don't know, more than 5,000 years, right? You have this internal combustion engine. Of course, this is my famous Edison bulb. This is a plow. This is a wheel, etc., etc. I'll just pick up 5, I think, the most powerful, you can argue. This is my personal vision of why I think this is an automobile. This has been so powerful. Then the plow, the Edison bulb, the wheel, and this is electricity as a product, right? They were so powerful. As I build the story, I will tell you, they're so powerful that it killed the human creativity. It was so powerful that we are not able to think beyond a light bulb, think beyond the plow, think beyond the wheel, or think beyond electricity. And this is I'm an electrical engineer, so this is my famous stuff. Edison killed this world. As a side question, how many of you use electrical energy? How many in this room use electrical energy? Huh? No, you cannot speak for others. You use it, right? How many of you use electrical energy? Okay, if time permits, I'll prove it to you. None of us use electrical energy. That's so powerful an innovation. What do you call this? This is called light energy, right? This is light energy. If you use electrical energy, if you're fortunate, you'll have a shock non-fatal. If not other way around, we can't use electrical energy. At the point of end-use consumption, it has to be converted back into heat, light, some other energy form which is useful, right? Please bear in mind. That's so powerful that, most of the engineers in BIB think we use electrical energy, right? And how do you get a light energy? Just switch off this, pull out the curtains, you'll get the same light energy. In fact, they think that's got a better color rendering index than these guys, right? Now, I take the 5 top innovations in my opinion, right? The wheel, the automobile, the light, the plow, and electricity. What's been the change? Some of them have, this may be more than 5,000 years old. We don't even know who invented the wheel, right? Here at least we can put some names. Here you can put Edison, very clear, right? The plow, again, we don't know who invented it. And electricity, maybe there'll be, Benjamin Franklin, Nikola Tesla, Edison, all of who stake their claims, right? They're so powerful. What are the societal needs they serve? What do they do? Has there been any innovation further on these? You take this 5. What next on these? What next for a wheel? What next for an automobile, a light bulb, or a plow, or electricity as a commodity? I know it's a Saturday afternoon, right? This is the last thing one would like to have on a Saturday afternoon, right? Think it over, right? There are 2 ways, maybe 3 slides more on I would say a theoretical framework. There are 2 ways one can be innovative. One, Most companies today work on what's called as a technology out. You spend $1 billion trying to get a molecule or developing a nanoparticle or something. You need to find out ways and means of recovering your, if you go to a CA, you will say, where is my ROI? What is the payback? So you need to do that. These are most of, you have a great idea and look for applications, right? The other one, this is more supply driven. If you see in US, the last 20 years, most of them were supply driven. People are investing so heavily on technologies without knowing what they would end up with. After the Cold War, what you call the SDI, a lot of this NASA project got cancelled, the Pentagon cancelled, but money was spent on developing stuff, so they're looking for options for that. Other one, which I believe is more practical, that you have a problem, and you're looking at ways and means of solving this problem in a different way. The key is a different way, but how different is not what you think is different. Go and ask why. What is the problem you're trying to solve? Edison was trying to solve a problem. He was obsessed with making a resistance wire which would not get oxidized. That's his problem statement. To me, it was very narrow-minded. Let's see how does it work. Just to understand, we will see some examples of what you think is an innovative idea, right? If I ask you, is Tesla's Model 3, is it innovative? Tesla's Model 3, the most controversial. Is it innovative? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Yes? Why do you think Model 3 or any model of Tesla is innovative? No, they are not. That's what next 30 minutes, that's what I'll prove. Tesla didn't change any rule of the game, right? So this is just to understand, you can pick up all the 100 innovations I have in the list and put it here. A transistor, what's a transistor? Was it innovative? It was much more innovative than Tesla's car. Why? What was before a transistor? A vacuum tube wall, triode, pentode. What does a transistor do? It does the same thing that of a wall. Does it have anything in common with a wall? There's no anode, cathode, pentode, no glass shield, no heater elements, no need to coat with barium or cesium, right? So you have a product which does something same or better, but replaces it totally, right? Let's see some more examples, just to understand. For example, that's why I put transistor here. You take a CT scanner, not so innovative, right? Most of them thought X-rays are not good enough because you can get a radiation, you can get cancer and all those stuff. So everybody said MRI or CT scanner is better, but this is not really radical, right? Just to understand the framework of it. There's another way of looking at it. The product, this is what I was saying, I like this 2x2. When the product as well as the processes change, then you really look at it as an innovation, but maybe we can skip some of this. Let's look at this. There are about 5 or 6 slides, which some of you would know. What are these? You can answer these questions. These are 20-year-old questions. I'm asking the same stuff. I'm a lazy guy to change, right? Very simple. Nobody uses a Canon unless you are a professional photographer, Every year there's a report which says more than 80% of photography tech in the world is using Samsung. It was Nokia 10 years back. Now it's Samsung or Apple, right? Did anybody in Pentax or Canon ever thought about they would be competing with Nokia? I don't think so, right? Now the question is, I don't know who is my competition because I really don't know my business, right? That's the first premise I started with. So if I don't know what business I'm in, what I'm in this for business, I can't even know who is my competition because you don't know even your customers. Let's look at like this. Okay, I don't want to get into each one of them, right? Today the key stuff is innovation. Innovation is defining the way industries are created, industries are successful, or industries are destroyed. I'm not talking about companies, I'm talking about a whole industry, right? If you take Tata plus Mahindra plus all the TVS group of industries, that's an industry called automotive. The whole industry, for example, 30 years back, there was no industry which is running on biotechnology or nanomaterials, right? There was no such industry, right? Today you have industries all coming out of this innovation. There are industries which are being killed. If time permits, we will look at some examples. How people were so oblivious, especially when you're very successful in an industry, then you think that's the way you should, right? Let's look at a transformer as an industry. As I said, most of my examples would be non-civil, right? Let's say you talk to ABB, Siemens, Calva, or Crompton Greaves, you ask them, what business they are in. Let's say MCO Transformers. It's very near somewhere here, right, in Wagle Industrial Estate. So what's the business of Mr. Rajesh Jain, the guy who owns MCO Transformers? What business they are in? Making transformers. I've done it for 27 years. They all believe that we are in the business of making transformers. Why would somebody buy a transformer? Why does somebody buy a transformer? What does a transformer do? No. That's a civil engineer speaking. What is a transformer? What does it do basically? It just steps up and steps down voltage. Why would you like to do that? It's fun, stepping up and stepping down? It's no fun. Then why would somebody buy a transformer? All the transformer does is, mainly I would say, steps up and steps down. Of course, gives a galvanic isolation for some of us, right? But why would somebody buy a transformer? Why do you like to step up or step down? But why? Yeah, but you can convey power at 11 kV, you can convey power at... See, all the generation happens at 6.6 kV or 12 kV, and the maximum generator is 27 kV, right? Most of the generation happens at 12, 13, 16 kV. Yes. Because if I'm going to transfer megawatts of power at 11 kV, the amount of current would be so high, I need to have a conductor which is huge, a lot of copper or aluminum or maybe superconductors. And the Ohm's law says the losses are proportional to I square R, so I need to keep my I less. So what's your business now? Your business is, it's not in the business of manufacturing transformers, because when you say transformers, only two things come to your mind. A primary and a secondary, some kind of an insulation and a magnetic core, and E is equal to 4.44 into pi into F into whatever it is. Never changed, right? That's what comes to your mind. But they are actually in the business of efficient bulk power transmission over long distances, period. You're going to step up and step down only because you're going to make the efficiency of bulk power transmission over long distances much, much more efficient. If you can find out some other way, for example, if I have a superconductor, today it's still not a reality. See, what we call as high temperature superconductors are still sub-zero, right? But maybe 20 years from now, we can have really a room temperature superconductor, in which case you can still have the same Panther or Zebra conductor conveying megawatts of power. You can generate at 230 volts and distribute and transmit at 230 volts. Oops, what did I do? Okay, there's a 1997 patent, right? People generate at 12 kV and step it up to 220 kV. You know, these are called generator transformers. Today, a lot of people don't have a generator transformer. There's a patent from a European multinational. It's a 20-year-old patent where the generation happens at 220 kV direct, right? You can also have, there are a lot of, patents on a transformer which steps up and steps down without using a magnetic core. Because the entire problem statement in the industry has been, I should have a primary, I should have a secondary, I should have a magnetic coupling. All the research has been, what should be the primary and the secondary winding? Should it be aluminum, copper, Litz wire, non-inductive winding? And what should be the core? Should it be CRGO, non-CRGO? Should it be amorphous metal, mu metal, all this? But it was assumed that there must be a magnetic steel there. And these transformers don't have a primary and a secondary and no magnetic steel. See, some of these are more interesting. I won't read it, but this would be more interesting than this, don't worry, because this is what I'm saying, but this is what some good people said, right? You can have a DC distribution. Go back, there was a fight between two guys, Nikola Tesla and Edison, AC and DC. The wrong guy won, actually. I like DC. Why? Why is DC better? There are no complex conjugates. Equations are much easier to solve, right? But the DC is coming back in a very big way. You go to US, a lot of people, even in India, there's a committee which is working on DC distribution. In future, maybe if you have more and more of solar, which is going to be a DC generator, there's no fun in making it into AC, stepping it down, stepping it, etc., etc. And most of the loads today run on DC, right? A bulb, for example, AC or DC doesn't make a difference. Most of your power supplies are switched mode and they're more comfortable with DC. So maybe it makes sense tomorrow to generate DC, distribute DC and consume DC. That means the whole industry, it's not ABB, Crompton and EMCO, the whole industry would be wiped out, right? Let's look at a second example, capacitors. I'm sorry, as I said, most of them are electrical examples, right? We are one of the largest capacitor manufacturers. I asked my colleagues, you're so obsessed being number one for the last 20 years, you think you're the best guy in capacitors. Why would somebody buy a capacitor? And capacitor never changed. It's almost 300 years. This is the first capacitor, and these are capacitors of today. Nothing changed. It's a piece of dielectric between two electrodes. Nothing has changed. What changed? The dielectric was paper, wax, became polypropylene, become some high temperature polypropylene, but it has to have a dielectric, right? And the electrode was aluminum 10 micron, became aluminum 5 micron, then it became zinc aluminum alloy. Nothing changed. So if you go and ask these guys, there's not much of an innovation, but why would somebody buy a capacitor? The same question, why does somebody buy a transformer? Can I step up and step down in a different technology? You have killed the transformer industry. Second question, why should I even step up and step down? Can I not generate at 230 and distribute at 230? That's the way of asking questions. Why am I doing this, right? It's not about replacing copper with a superconductor. What does a capacitor does? People buy the product not for the sake of a product. This is the first theme, right? Do you buy a product or do you buy a functionality? Do you buy a product or do you buy services? I want to buy my AC because I want to have a cool ambient, right? It need not be an AC, it need not have a rotary compressor or a reciprocatory compressor, need not have a remote, etc., right? You bought an AC with so much of pain only because you want to get the functionality. The same stuff. What is the functionality for capacitor? And it's a reality now in the last 3 years, capacitors are being replaced by something else which provides the same or even a better functionality. That means in 5 years from now, one of the capacitor segment industry would be out of business. You can write it down in 5 years from now, right? Look at, I do some work with a company called Brakes India, right? What does Brakes India do? I mean, I don't want to give names here anyway. Ignore it. You're in the business of making brakes, brake pads, brake linings, brake drums. What's your business? And what's been the research on brakes all these 100 years? It's remained the same brake, right? If you go back to your young age, you had a cycle, it had a brake. You can go and take the Audi A7, it's the same. The entire research was on how do I put more molybdenum inside so that when there's a friction, I reduce my wear and tear. Is that a real great innovation? Changing the composition of your brake pads? Come on, not worth it, right? What business you are in if you're making brake pads? Forget the names of the companies, I said, there's no offense against Brakes India. But if you are making brakes, what business you are in? Would somebody buy a brake just because it's got a drum, ventilated disc and all those stuff, right? And there's no, I mean, I can go into that, there's absolutely been no innovation in brake technology. After 3 hours, 3 companies making brakes in 3 different parts of the world, they agreed, yes, Venkatesh, if this is your framework, there's nothing that's really become innovative. It's only a question of how do I reduce my wear and tear, how fast I can brake, how safe I can brake. But what does a brake do? It stops. No. Let's look at it. Why do you have brakes in the vehicle? Huh? To control the speed? No. Brake doesn't control the speed. That's the wrong way, sir. Travel safe, okay. Not really. No. See, a lot of... To? No, I mean, actually you should take your legs off the gas pedal. It will automatically decelerate. To stop the vehicle, okay. To stop and accelerate, okay. There's a nice, to reach our destination, use the brake. Okay. No, this is good. See, I'll tell you, if you really want to be innovative, the first thing you should do is ignore people who are ridiculing you. Right? Some of the best ideas came from me. My boss, who's a chartered accountant, he's the only engineer I found in the last 10 years who can have a decent conversation with me. He's a CA, right? Because he can really think out of the box. Because CA says, how can I square R be equal to, he can get away with it. Why? Because we think, anyway, chartered accountant, okay. So why do you have brakes in the vehicle? There was a nice story, in WhatsApp. It's not to stop. If the vehicle is stopped, do you need brakes? No. They in fact said brakes is to make you move faster. If you're not moving faster, you don't need a brake, right? I mean, that's on the lighter side. But look at what is the purpose of it. What does the brake do, basically? Brake converts kinetic energy into thermal energy by dissipating in friction, isn't it? All kinds of brakes, you can look at it. When I say all, 90% of the brakes, what do? They convert kinetic energy into mechanical and finally into thermal, which is friction, right? You waste all the energy. You have the most precious fossil fuel, and then you dissipate it as heat, loss of enthalpy and global warming, right? And what was the next best innovation on brakes? Converts kinetic energy into electrical energy into chemical energy. They call it as a regenerative braking. Great, right? Regenerative braking. If you buy an electric vehicle, even the Mumbai trains, I believe the last set of coaches from Siemens, they have the regenerative braking, right? So when they brake, what they do? They take out the kinetic energy. See, when you move, we have mv square, half mv square. To stop, half mv square should be 0. We don't have a technology to make mass 0 at this point of time, right? Sad for scientists. So you assume mass is mass, make your v square equal to 10 to 0, right? So how do you do that? Loss of energy. Energy can either be created nor destroyed. It can be only transferred. So you take the entire kinetic energy and put them into thermal, heating it. Now it's a little better. You convert them into electrical and then back into chemical energy. You put them in a battery so that you can use it again, right? Now the question is, why brake at all? Should we brake? All this research on molybdenum brakes, ventilated brakes, ABS brake, regenerative braking assumes I have to make my half mv square 0. Till I find out how to make m0, people are dependent on making v0. And you cannot disobey the laws of natural energy. So you'll have to take kinetic and put it somewhere else. The question is, did you ask yourself the question, why should I make my half mv square 0? Why should the vehicle stop? Why should the velocity be 0? Why? This is the second why, right? The first why was okay, we have regenerative braking. The second why should half mv square be 0? Why should the vehicle stop? Huh? We need to get down and get up. This is human arrogance. This is really human arrogance. A bus with 50 people running at 60 kilometers per hour, you are standing on the roadside, you don't want to run and get into the bus, you want the bus to stop for you. Have you not done it in your school ages? At least I have done it, right? You wait for the bus to move, run behind the bus, see that everybody is looking at you, reach the same speed as the bus, and then get in. How many of you have done it? Sad if you have not done it. Everybody should do it, right? Did the bus stop for me? The idea is to make the relative motion between me and the train, between me and the bus 0. The relative motion must be 0. V1 minus V2 be 0. The human arrogance thought V1 will be 0, the V2 should become 0, right? Why can't it be the other way around? No, I'm serious. Okay, I'll show you a film why it can be. I mean, that's question, right? Look at these, right? We are running out of time anyway. I'll go a little faster. All these, once upon a time, people thought you cannot have a life without any of this. A slide rule. If your father was an engineer, you can go and ask him. Nowadays, nobody, the T-scale, right, became a mini drafter. I think it's now AutoCAD, I don't know, whatever version, right? They all went out of existence after being a part of everyday life. Look at what happened to them. Because they all thought they are in the business of making vacuum tubes. The day we had a transistor, the whole industry went out of business, right? Let's look at it. Okay. But it's not that they went out of my life. They were replaced by something which gave me the same functionality. How many of you have seen an Encyclopedia Britannica? You use it now? No. What do you do now? Wikipedia. It gives you the same functionality, but you don't have to have 17 different volumes, right? And nice teak wood. It was more like a showpiece those days. Right? This is the key stuff. You need to know what business you are in. There are customer needs and there are customer groups, right? We will see what a customer group means, which is a subset of a customer need. And there are alternative technologies which would meet the same customer need. For example, some people like idli, some people like poha, some people like Kellogg's. What is the customer need? Breakfast is not a need. Breakfast is the word we give. The first nutritious meal. Why do you have a breakfast, right? That's the second why. But the customer need is the same, right? The first morning meal, which is nutritious, right? It can be anything, right? But there are different ways of the same need. You can have vada pav, poha, or Kellogg's. That's a key question. Look at the new paradigm, how things are changing. I will not get into what these are, right? Look at Airbnb. You go to Hilton, they say we have 143 properties in 47 countries with a cumulative 2,475 rooms. I mean, I just give you some random numbers, right? So Hilton says they have so many rooms and so many properties. How many rooms does Airbnb own? Zero. And they are the largest accommodation provider in the world. Combined Hilton plus Hyatt plus Leela plus nobody could beat them, right? The question is, at the end of the day, it's about the ownership is not so important as that of the benefits I get out of it. In fact, my brother has got a nice theory that he says, I'm a dumb guy, I bought a car. He proves that even if he takes Uber every day, tipping the guy $100 in the morning and evening, it's still cheaper for him rather than me having a car, right? What do they have in common? Do they have anything in common? Spectacles, contact lenses, laser surgery, corneal transplant. Anything in common? Yes. At the end of the day, just they offer, I spend a lot of time Looking at the mirror, brown color suits me better or gray color suits me better. What is my problem definition? To see better, you have multiple solutions, right? In fact, they compete with each other. Let's move on. What do they sell, these companies? They all sell cars. Sure. How many want to buy a Maruti? They all sell cars, right? How many want to buy a Maruti? How many want to buy a Mercedes? At least 2. If all sell car, why would somebody buy a Mercedes and why would somebody buy a Maruti? Unfortunately, they all have 4 wheels. Leave the stepney out. They have a chassis. They have one engine. It doesn't matter whether it's a twin cylinder or a single cylinder. And they have a steering, right? But actually, if you see, what do they sell is what's called as a mobility. We'll question this, right? Why would people even should be mobile? But what Toyota sells, I mean, they all sell mobility. I won't say car, right? Then they sell quality and reliability. Look at the 30 years of advertisement of Toyota. Have they ever said about mileage, fuel efficiency? Show me one, never. Have you ever seen Honda ad talking about anything else apart from fuel efficiency, green fuel, fuel efficiency, hybrids? Mercedes, safety and status. That's what they sell, right? Along with the primary functionality of mobility. And what does Maruti sell apart from mobility? Affordability. Look at quickly some other examples. What do they sell? Soap. They all sell soaps, right? How many of you would like to buy this and how many of you would like to buy this? What do they sell? All soaps, right? If all are soaps, would there be a differentiation? This is the question between a customer need and a customer category, right? What is the customer need they satisfy? What does Dow sell? Beauty. Have you ever seen a Dow ad saying that 99.99% germs are killed? Have you seen one? Have you ever seen, I mean, don't get into the names, okay? I don't have anything against. Have you seen a Lifebuoy advertisement which talks about, Shilpa Shetty or Rekha looking very beautiful? You have a kid playing in the dirt, comes back, and you have 99.99% of the germs killed, right? At the end of the day, they are very sure about what they are selling, and some of the soaps, if you see, they have more almonds and oils. In fact, you think it's edible at times, right? They have more milk, right? Right. The key question is, why would somebody, though there is a different market segment, at the end of the day, you want to take bath, right? Question is, why do you want to take bath? No, I'm serious. This is the second why. Forget, he said 7 whys, right? We are on the second why. Ask yourself the question, what are these guys trying to do? Car was a little different example. Transformer and capacitors are totally different example. This is a B2B industrial product, right? You don't go and sell transformers by, Salman Khan posing for it, right? Whereas this one, it's more of a perception, Just think it over what business they are in. Now let's look at this, right? Tesla Model 3 is a great innovation, right? That's what this gentleman said. What was there before Tesla Model 3? You go back 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, 300 years. What was there? It was called as a horse carriage, right? Horse carriage looked exactly the same as a Tesla Model 3 or a Audi A7. I can run a small video which I'm trying to make, right? What does it have? It's got a prime mover. It's got a prime mover, a source of energy. It's got 4 wheels. You can have 3, 4, 5, or 6 wheels. It's a matter of detailing. It's got a chassis. It's got 2, 4, 6, or 8 seats, right? It's got a steering. What has changed? And what was the prime mover those days? Horsepower, right? Even today it's measured in horsepower equivalent, right? What is horsepower? It's muscle energy. What's muscle energy? It's thermal. You need to burn calories to drive, right? It was replaced by an internal combustion engine, which is again thermal, right? And what did Tesla do? Replace a thermal with a chemical energy. Just the source of energy changed, right? Thermal become electrical, become chemical, whatever, but everything else remained the same. What's a great innovation in that? Look at this candle to the current LED. Is it a better innovation? You had candle, right? I mean, those days people are still seeing, right? It's not that before Edison's people were not able to see in the dark, right? They were able to see in the dark. They had a candle, gas light, then there's the Edison bulb, then we had CFL, a lot of things in between. Between the two, which one you think is more innovative? This to this or this to this? Definitely, any day. What does a candle do? Converts thermal energy into light. What does an LED do? Converts electrical into light. And what was incandescent bulb doing somewhere in between? Converting electrical into heat. Light energy was a byproduct. It's such an innovative product that for 100 years, Edison made people believe that you are using a byproduct. An incandescent bulb fails, you'll have to wait for 5 minutes before you can touch it because it converts electricity into heat, and light was a byproduct, right? But whatever you see here, they were just satisfying a present or a future, explicit or a latent human need. Humans believe they have a need to be mobile, mobility, right? Can be a horse carriage, can be a electric vehicle. Then what is the second human need? Ability to see in darkness. Nobody wanted an LED. What is the problem statement? I want to have the ability to see in darkness. Let's quickly move through, right? The key question is, these would not change over the next maybe 5,000 years. Why? Because the last 5,000 years never changed. It's just one step extrapolation. Okay. So when you talk about the human needs, the key question is, what are these? What do they have in common? See, a lot of companies do this. How do I find out the human needs? Now, you have done all these market research surveys. Now, people walk around saying that, why do you want to buy this soap? What do you expect from a soap? The top 3 things, no? Flavor or color or taste or whatever, right? They do these surveys, right? You have not done any of these market surveys? You participate, no? Right? But when you ask these questions, people always end up with stupid answers. Why? It's my inability to think beyond what I want in a soap. So I will look at last 10 ads, then I'll say I want cheap, I want pink color, and I want rose smell. I'm very clear. I thought I've defined my definition of a soap beautiful, and the poor company would start making it, putting a lot of pressure on the R&D guys, coming with the wrong product. But these, no consumer ever asked for it. There are human needs which are not so explicitly stated. And some of these are very, for example, this is a great innovation, right? During its point of time. Why? It met a unsaid need of a customer, user, whatever it is. Okay, these are some of the examples. Maybe I'll run a little faster, right? Let's look at this. Washing machine, right? Today's washing machine has got 73 wash programs. No, it's got a microprocessor more powerful than my first PC I ever had, right? It's got more RAM, right? How innovative is this washing machine? Can use salt water, hard water. Is it an innovative product, washing machine? I don't want to give you brand names anyway because I'll be misquoted. How innovative is a washing machine? They're running out of time. And all this time which I'm taking where you're not answering, Rajesh, is not to my account. We are very much behind schedule. Right? There's no change. 300 years back, there was a wooden tub. There was a wooden spatula. People used to put water, detergent, and clothes, and they used to do this, right? And that eventually became, 1, 2, 1, 2, whatever, right? That's the same stuff. The human hand was replaced by a motor, then the motor became BLDC motor, twin winding motor, etc., etc. But what is the purpose of a washing machine? When I say wash, what comes to your mind? No. When I say wash, washing hands, washing clothes, water, this has been the biggest pain. Washing, for some reason, etched in my mind that I should have water. You cannot think of washing without water. Today, this is something I take credit. This is not my invention. But 97, I was living in Bombay, right? I was living in Thane. Both of us used to work, me and my wife. Water comes between 7:30 and 8. Both of us in the office. Night, you'll have to come back. Auntie said, kam se kam ek balti ka pani leke aana, right? I gone through this pain, right? 95 in Thane. And I said, why do you need water for washing machine? The water won't come out of the pipe, you'll have to pour it with bucket, right? You need a clean cloth. The problem definition is cleaning and not washing. When you say washing, you immediately start about water, and today you have a machine which does not use water and does not use detergent. So the problem definition is not washing but cleaning, right? So this is the key. Maybe we go on a little faster, right? Maybe this I can skip. Some of these I can leave it with Rajesh, we can go through it. So I used to come back to my favorite story. All these guys were doing the wrong washing machine because they were always talking about water, hot water, cold water, etc., 2 inlet water, right? All I wanted to tell them was, I want clean clothes. Then go to the next why. Why do you want clean clothes? Right? That's the second why. As I said, if you get the third why right, you can get $1 billion worth of a patent. Okay. The key question is the poor goal definition. Maybe some of the videos I would skip because we are very much behind schedule. But if time permits, I'll go back to those videos. They are worth seeing. The videos are more interesting. Rajesh, you'll have to tell me the time. This is a question of Edison's very famous quote, right? He said, it's not that 1,000 times I failed. Very arrogant. I know how 999 times a light bulb need not be made. His problem statement was to make a resistance wire in an inert gas which will not burn itself off. That was not the problem statement. The problem statement was give people an ability to see in darkness. Yeah, I'm running out of it. Maybe some of them I would skip. Some of them I'll really skip. I'm sorry. Right? This is the key question. Okay, there's a link. I won't open it because the link is painful. The question is, you always talk about what, but look at how. But better than that, ask the question, why? Why am I doing a transformer? Why am I doing a capacitor? Why am I doing a washing machine, right? Why am I doing a soap or a car, right? Let's give you some of the examples. For example, the wheel, right? Why do you need a wheel? We can't think of mobility without wheels. Are you mobile? Are you mobile? How many wheels you have? None. And he's still mobile, right? So I'll show you a small clip here. I will not play through all this. For example, I don't know which is the right one. Oh, why does it say it can't open? Shit, this is really bad. Huh? We tried in the morning. Okay, I will show you something. Maybe in the meantime, if you can fix it. When you talk about fastest all-terrain, what comes to your mind? Fastest all-terrain, what comes to your mind? A cheetah? Cheetah doesn't have wheels. Why should an automobile have wheels? All this research in the 100 years on wheel is how many spokes, 5 or 7 spokes, what kind of alloy, aluminum or titanium, tireless, tubeless, nitrogen filled, gas filled, whatever filled. The wheel has remained a wheel. There's absolutely no innovation. There's a clip I can show you today. People are talking about something like a human leg, and I believe in LBS mark that's much better than a wheel. Trust me, you'll be much more mobile, right? Okay. Second, look at this. Maybe one day this will be replaced by Hyperloop, and I even challenged the question, why do you want to be mobile? This was, I think, in 2007. I was in Tata Motors. I was doing an MBA, so they took us to Tata Motors. I don't know how many of you know that time the big boss of Tata Motors. He was head of R&D. You know, Ratan Tata picked him up from the US, and he gave Tata the passenger car. Otherwise, Tata used to make trucks, right? Sumantran, Dr. Sumantran. So I was sitting in the last bench as usual. It runs in my blood. So I said, okay, one question for you. I said, why should you be mobile? What's the future of car? Okay, you can have electric vehicle, you can have halogen replaced by LED lamps, but the question is, why a car at all? Then I said, you've not heard about dial a pizza? 30 minutes, somebody delivers, why should I be mobile? Right? It went on like this. A lot of people are now doing home office, right? My daughter is a GT, she doesn't go to office, she sits at home because in US, a lot of people don't have parking slots, you know, so you stay back home and do it. Then he said, Venkatesh, I'm sure you like all this, but would you not like to go to Hawaii beach and smell the sand and the waves? I said, maybe by the time I retire, there'll be something called a virtual reality. You can sit in your couch, you can see the waves, you can feel the waves, you can smell the sand, and why should you leave your home, right? That's true. The question is, it's not only why a wheel, but why mobile itself? Why we should be, it's working now? No? Okay, then I'll show you at the end, right? And what is this human need? Okay, I was always saying, you know, the future should not be LED, it should be bio-light, right? It's biodegradable. Few hundred years back, people had this fireflies, jugnu, right? People used to catch it, put it in a bottle. You've not seen this gypsies? It gives you enough light for the family to have a quick dinner, and at the end, you can even have it as a dessert. You know, a lot of people eat those insects. It's 100% not only biodegradable, it's edible, right? Maybe you should have something like that which gives you light and also tastes good. Right? Now, maybe I'll show you this today. This is about 6 months back. Sony's invented a lens. You know, you can implant it. They did it not because it can give you a night vision. It can do an automatic recording, right? It's more like a spy camera. But I picked up the last few lines of it. Next 3 months, you know, there are 3 companies launching it. You put it here. It's like a night vision camera. And night vision camera is very common. I mean, American Army had it 20 years back, and today, maybe 2 years from now, it will be a commodity. You know, what's the problem with this light? I have a problem every day night, you know. After dinner, I need to study something for 2 hours. Married for a long time, but still we have the, you know, we sleep in the same bed, me and my wife. She has to sleep and she can't sleep when the light is on. Just because of a guy is reading, and I want to scan a textbook of maybe about 3 millimeters by 8 millimeters line, the whole room is lit up. Is it right? If I can see in the night, she can sleep well, and there's no need to light up a 10 by 10, right? That's a key question, the problem definition. What is this plow? Is it a great innovation from this to this? Mahindra, Sarpanch, or John Deere, or whatever. Is it a great innovation? How great is innovation? Nothing has changed. I can put every part of that. The plow has remained the plow for at least 5,000 years, right? All the so-called great innovation. What's the future? You heard about hydroponics? One of my friend's brother, he runs a farm. There's no soil. There's no need to plow. Why do you want to plow? You need to plow because you're doing a farming on a soil. If there's no need for a soil, why do you need soil? What does soil, what does it do, does to a plant? The primary reason is to give nutrients. The second is to grout it so that, it doesn't topple or whatever. The same thing can be done in 10,000 different ways. Right? You heard about aquaponics now? It's great. Maybe they already have artificial meat now. It's under test launch. There's no need even for growing it inside your, greenhouse. Maybe they can synthesize it. Right? Electricity. I mean, this is what I said. Maybe I'm running out of time, so I will not show you. I'll just show you one. Maybe this video I'd like to play you. It's a non-stop train. It's a concept design, right? Go back. I was standing in the bus stop and I wanted 60 people, 40 horsepower to stop because I want to get in. I want the relative motion to be 0. Today they have a train where I'm on a platform. The train keeps moving. The train doesn't stop. The platform is accelerated a bit. The platform goes almost at the same speed of the train. People do an interchange, right? People get in and get out. The train keeps moving. The platform comes back. And the whole thing is done in about less than about 600, 700 meters. Isn't it possible? Why should the train break? You're talking about 20 coaches, right? What is the weight of the train? What is a half MV square? You take so much time to accelerate it, so much energy to accelerate it, and then you want to stop it? Stupid, right? Maybe I'll play this. Okay, so this is the key. Maybe I'll quickly take you through. Okay, I can't play the movies, right? Okay. Huh? Let me just show whether I can play at least this link. I can play this link? No? Oops. Okay, let's not waste time, right? I'll show you something. It's very easy to say this, right? But let's look at some of these. This is the key then. Focus always on why. What business I am in? What human societal needs am I satisfying? Am I in the business of making car? Car means it should have 4 wheels, it should have an engine, it should have a chassis. It's so preconditioned. I'll show you a video how mine gets preconditioned. Are we in the business of making soap? Are we in the business of making washing machines? Are we in the business of making light bulb? Go and ask Philips, Ostrom, and Hevels. They'll swear by it, right?
I had a question on the example you gave.
Yeah.
We are still accelerating and braking the platform, right? So it's the same.
There's second, maybe I'll play it, then it'll be easier. There are 2 things. You're right. Let's say about 500 people, 10 coaches, much heavier, running at let's say 100 kilometers per hour, braking and stopping and restarting, on a moving platform which is suspended on something which is like a fluid, and all the 500 people are not going to get in and get out of every station, right? That's the basic idea. Why do you want to spend energy in accelerating it and then spend energy in braking it? See, trains, how do they brake? Again, it's friction, wear and tear, right? So the question is, how do you look for alternate ways for providing the solution? And then maybe I'm more interested in playing the videos. Maybe I'll quickly play. Okay, this is a final video, Rajesh. When I'm running out of my time, the last 3 minutes, you should show me this, right? Then I'll play this video. Now I'm done. Maybe I'll take you through 1 or 2 of this. Now I'll just show you 2 things. Okay? See, we said, there are 3 videos. I mean, the last one I'll show anyway, Rajesh, the 3 minutes. This is how the mindset is formed. We keep talking about thinking out of the box. Heard about this term, thinking out of the box? I used to say I never knew what is thinking, leave alone the box. So if I don't know what is a box and thinking inside the box, how can I think out of the box? And people say, very technical words, paradigms, It's very easy because you're born with it. I'll just show you 2 things. Look at this. And this is how easy a paradigm could be formed. minute. Now I'll show you something. I will show you something. This is a problem because these are all. Okay, if time permits, I'll just show you this. Then if time permits, I will show you how it's easy to form a mindset, right? Maybe you should watch this. It was opening, right? See, that's the key. What was the class about? Aerodynamics. When you talk about plane, what do you imagine? Something should have a sharp cone, right? Something like less friction against windage, right? And what was the winning criteria? The one which throws the longest distance. This is not about aerodynamics. The class was about aerodynamics. What was the game you're playing? The longest distance. Wasn't that a powerful video? Right? There was one I will show you. I don't know which. I mean, I don't write down the names. Maybe I should do it next time. Rajesh, if you give me a minute, maybe it's worth it. It's very simple. I'm really sorry about this. Now it works. I don't know why. Is it okay, this map, or anybody has got a discomfort with this map? Huh? It's upside down. Map is okay? Or you have a bit of a discomfort, you're not able to explain it. It's upside down. I can promise you. Yes. Everybody says the map is inverted. India is not inverted. Trust me, Jammu and Kashmir is still there where it is supposed to be there. Right? All these years, the so-called the cartographers used to go stand in the South Pole, look up and draw the map. They could have actually stood on the North Pole and did the same stuff, right? Right from my tender age, I was used to looking at certain things, and not an exception. You show map of any country. I mean, it could be India. Maybe I do it sometime in Germany. I'll show a different map. Everybody said, no, this is wrong. This is inverted. You just can't invert it, right? You're talking about a huge physical mass. That's how easy it's to create a mindset, right? Maybe I'll leave a set of presentations with Rajesh. Rajesh, you can actually play it around. Some of them are non-proprietary. It's so easy to get your mind conditioned that you think you can't think beyond it. A wheel should be round, right? The only research I can do it on the thickness of the radial, the kind of vulcanizing I do, the kind of chemicals I put in. I never question why it should be round. All the research is about titanium percentage and aluminum alloy percentage. The entire research is about how I can make my LED more and more efficient, that it converts electricity into light and heat is a byproduct. The question is, who wants light? I want my ability to see in darkness, period. Can you look at something else, which is a more efficient way? Who wants a car? Model 3 or Model X, or who cares a damn? I don't worry about whether it's got a regenerative braking or it's got a ABS braking or it's got a ventilated disc. I don't understand any of this. I'm a common man. I just want mobility. Then I can even question, why do you want mobility? Go to the 7th why. If not, at least go to the 3 whys. I mean, why does somebody buy something? The basic premise is people don't buy products. They buy functionality. They buy services, right? If you can understand what is the basic functionality you are trying to satisfy by doing a light bulb or a transformer or whatever you're doing, then you look at alternate ways of providing the same functionality. My breakfast changed after 20 years. Last 3 years, it's totally different. I used to give one more example. You know Tata Salt? What business they are in? I should have said startup. Desh ka namak. What do they do? What do they sell? Salt. Why would somebody buy a salt? This is again, I had a chat with the head of Tata Salt. I said, you are in the business of providing nutrition and taste. What does salt does to you? It gives you taste. It gives you nutrition. Is there something else apart from high blood pressure? I don't think so, right? So you define your business. I mean, it's a very emotional stuff, Desh ka namak, right? I do understand that part, right from the Gandhi's salt march and all the stuff. If I can replace the salt with something which gives me the same nutrition and taste, so be it. It need not have sodium chloride, did not have the same process of purification and adding iodine or whatever it is. So every product what we do, everything every company does, we are so obsessed with doing what we are doing for the last 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years that we forget why does somebody buy this salt or this soap or this car. That's about the entire story. Thank you very much, Rajesh. I'm sorry if my links didn't work and I ran out of time.
Can we have a big round of applause for him, please? Thank you very much. So with that, I think it was a wonderful session with Dr. Venkatesh. It's always a pleasure hearing him out. I'm quite fortunate to hear him for the 3rd or 4th time, in fact. So thanks a lot, Doctor. Do we have any questions from our online colleagues in Jakarta and various other offices?
Not as of now.
Okay, fine. So any questions from the audience over here for Dr. Venkatesh? Probably you can just think through. I have one, in fact, and that's something that I get commonly addressed as well. We talk about companies investing in innovation, and inevitably the question comes, why do we want to really invest in innovation? What does make sense? Does it make sense that we innovate in-house and come up with our own products or come up with our own services? Or whether it makes sense just buying companies who can do that same thing for us much more efficiently. So any opinion, any thoughts about why innovation in the first place?
See, you asked actually 2 questions. Right?
Yes.
See, why innovation? Because to me, without innovation, you are dead. The bigger version of this, which runs for 4 hours, talks about how industries died because they failed to innovate. The vacuum tube wall, Philips had this 1980s, the CD, the CD, right? CD was a great innovation from the audio tapes. I mean, I work for a company which made the first audio tape, TDK, right? CD was a great innovation. What was the lifetime of CD? Less than 10 years. Less than 10 years. In fact, the audio tapes lived for 70 years. The CD was 10 years, and then it became MP3, MP4, I don't know what it is now, right? So if you don't innovate, it's a matter of time you will be replaced. The company and the industry as it is. I mean, you have thousands of industries. There are case studies of how right from textiles to automotive to CDs to vacuum tube all died. The question is, having said that innovation is the key, it's not something it happens once in a year. It must be the way of looking at things. Whatever you do, you ask the questions, why am I doing it? Can I do it better? Right? I like the old Philips adage, let's make it better. Then they change to sense and simplicity to whatever. I mean, they keep changing it. But I like the one, let's make it better. It's your choice to see whether you should do it in-house or outsource it. This is purely a business decision. I'm for everything in sourcing, I'd like have everything in my control, so maybe I always used to say invest on R&D. I mean, sometimes maybe it makes sense, but the question is, if you buy something, then the question is, how do you integrate it? In most companies, I've seen my example, including an M&A, if there's no right chemistry, then it's still run as, the balance sheet gets aggregated, but not the people, but not the technology. You didn't ask this third question, but let me say this. Any great technology should have one key stuff, which is the human touch. There's another case study which talks about even if you have a very great innovation, the acceptance or the adaptation would be zero. When I say zero, I'm exaggerating. It will be very minimal if it doesn't have a human touch, right? So there are a couple of slides on biomimicking, I mean, how we can learn from nature to be more innovative. Like the eagle flaps his wing. Today I have a fantastic drone. The drones always had this 4 wheels and it's more like, lifting the air. But eagle or a vulture, which is a benchmark for flying, never had any of these, right? Rotating wheels. Today there's a first drone, which is a wing which flaps. It has got much more flexibility to fly, right? So not only you can learn from nature, you should also make these innovations more people friendly. Living example is my dad. He still doesn't use online banking because he thinks somebody would snoop. He would rather go to the bank. He likes his passbook and checkbook. When I first went to Munich, I looked at the banker. I said, can I get a checkbook? He thought I came from a different planet, right? So the question is, people have some kind of a comfort. It's not only how the paradigm is created, looking at the India map or looking at somebody's back, right? You're born with it, and there are certain things which are not comfortable. The bank can be a great corporate, buys the most advanced computer on the SAP system, I mean, ERP system. The girl or a guy who's sitting in front of the computer is a human being like you and me. If he or she is not comfortable with the technology, trust me, they are not going to use it. So the key to innovation is whether you in-source it or outsource is different, but how do you bring the human element of it? At the end of the day, you want to innovate because you want to touch the societal needs, right? Not because you want to have a patent and be done with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sorry, long answer.
Any other questions we have? No, do we have any from,
Yeah, one online question from Santosh.
Okay.
He said, Dr. Venkatesh, you spoke about 5 whys. Which are actually those 5 whys?
See, this is not the same 5 or 7 why we do for the problem solving. Since Rajesh started with the Ishikawa diagram, I started. The only whys I look at it is like this. Why is somebody buying a light bulb, right? I said, to light up the world. Then I said, why would you like to light up the world? At the end of the day, you will go back and see ability to see in darkness. These are the whys, right? This is based on the premise that people use the services and the functionality. If I don't understand the true functionality, then I'll always be doing a light bulb, and the definition of the light bulb is, it should have the same kind of a screw, right? It should have the same kind of a dome, etc., etc. These are the whys. Why does Venkatesh wants to have this? Somebody made this for me, right? I mean, not for me. Somebody made it for somebody, which I'm using it now. What's the functionality of this? I'm using this to get certain functionality. Ask the question why. Why is Venkatesh doing this? Why is Venkatesh wearing a watch? Why is Venkatesh wearing a shirt? Why is Venkatesh doing all the stuff? Is there a better way of meeting his demand with something else? Like light, I said, people have air conditioners. Why do you need an air conditioner? When you get cold, right? When it's cold in Kashmir, what do? Light up the entire state? Make it warm? No, what do? You wear a sweater or a jacket, right? You are feeling cold, not him, so I wear a sweater when it's cold. When it is hot, what do? I don't wear an AC. I air condition the entire room. It's the same problem statement, it is the reverse of it. And at the end of the day, it's about climate control. So why can't I do a jacket which makes me cooler, whereas he's quite okay with this temperature? This is the why. I mean, why do I need an AC? The entire research is about how to make it silent, can I reduce the noise level, rotary or reciprocatory, halogen free? No, these are not the whys. The entire research is because of a bad problem statement. Maybe, you know, there's one I skipped on how do you define a problem? Most of the R&D products, in my opinion, fail because the problem statement is wrong. The problem statement for Edison is not to make another resistance wire. The problem statement those days was to make people see in dark. That's the why. No.
I mean, essentially, it's about fundamentally going back to the root cause, or trying to understand what problem we are trying to fix. So you go a step why behind every time.
Why
so
a
you are
transformer?
actually trying to
Why a transformer?
Yeah.
Great question, Santosh. Hope you got your answer.
Okay. Any more questions from here, from live audience over here? So I think probably we are running out of time.
Yes.
We have a lot of audience on the Skype call also, so we'll probably stop over here. Thanks a lot, Dr. Venkatesh. On behalf of Black and Veatch, I thank you. We have got Rajiv Menon, our country manager and managing director over here. Rajiv, if you can just come over here and present a small token to Dr. Venkatesh.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Rajiv, would you like to say a few words?
You said time is out, but I'll just take 2 minutes into that. Unfortunately, I could not attend the full session, but I was standing over there in the last 5-10 minutes, hearing you out. And I'd gone through your impressive profile. I mean, really very impressive. And thank you so much for coming over and enriching all of us on the power of why. I related more as curiosity. And and what we as a company try to do is try to invest on more about the innovation. We understand, we recognize the changes that can happen or that is happening. Okay, and that's the bigger aspect of it, realizing that changes can destroy you and depending or relying on the huge talent pool that we have to innovate. I mean, to some of his question on should we outsource it or have it inside, I would always go with inside. And what you rightly said is, it's a business call, but it makes sense to have it in-house when you have 11,000 people and so talented in-house. Sure. So that's the best way to do. So thank you so much. I mean, we are learning day in and day out on how better we could do. And these are the great things what we learn away. Thank you so much, Doctor, for
My
your
pleasure.
patience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, people online. I hope you have had some interesting learning session over here. Thanks a lot for joining, and goodbye. Have a great day. Have a great evening.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.